Hello, my name is Rebecca Severin, and this is my lecture on the health belief model. The health belief model is a theory that was developed in Washington, D.C. at the U.S. Public Health Service in the 1950s. It is an interpersonal level theory, which means that the theory centers on the individual rather than the community. This theory helps in understanding knowledge, belief, motivation, self-concept, and self-efficacy on an individual level. The theory has a total of 6 constructs, and the idea behind the model is that these constructs account for the psychological aspects that promotes an individual to make changes in regard to health behaviors. As you can see, the constructs deal a lot with an individual's perception. In the first construct, perceived susceptibility, the person asks the question, can this really happen to me? The individual is determining if they believe that they can be affected by a certain condition based on what they personally know. In regard to program planning, it is important to make the association between the individual and the condition. Program activities could include discussion groups and guest speakers to make the condition relatable. The perceived severity construct involves the question of, can this really hurt me? This concept takes the idea of perception one step further with this question. We all have been in a position where we knew that we were susceptible to something, but we did nothing about it because we did not think the consequences were severe. An example of this is the flu shot. Most of us know that there is a high chance that we will get the flu, but most of us will not protect ourselves from it because we think that it won't be that bad. In regard to program planning, it is essential to inform the individual of what the undesirable condition can do to them. It is important to be creative in this portion of the planning, as the shock value will have the greatest effect with identifying the severity of a condition. Use activities that are more than just regurgitation of morbidity and mortality rates associated with the condition. In regard to the construct of perceived benefits, the individual is asking themselves if changing a certain behavior can actually benefit them. The perception of benefits causes an individual to weigh the cost of changing against the beneficial gain. It is definitely important to be supportive and drive home the idea that stopping a behavior or changing can have beneficial effects relatively quickly. A good example of this is the data we have regarding smoking and how your lungs are restoring themselves within hours of quitting. Providing this information can be essential to increasing confidence in participants. The perceived barriers construct involves individuals assessing their ability to perform the necessary changes to obtain the outcome. At this point, the participants already know that the change is essential, but they doubt their ability to make the change based on self-made and environmental barriers. It is extremely important that the program planning in this construct is centered on building the participants' confidence in themselves and introduce them to necessary resources to help facilitate their change. The message to get across is that the barriers are easily broken. A good activity would entail a brainstorming session where the participants identify their own barriers and work together to find solutions around these barriers. The cue to action construct really has a 2-part question where the individual asks not only what they can do to change, but also how they can remind themselves to change. This construct deals with the motivation to change, and there are a lot of external influences used to promote this change. Here, program planners are getting to the core of what the individual needs to do to change and how they are going to cue themselves into changing. When it says hold them accountable, it means allow the participants to get creative and think of ways to cue themselves that would work for them. Individuals are unique and we can't create one-size-fit-all techniques. For instance, post-it reminders posted around the home and office might work for one participant, while a daily reminder from a close friend might work for another participant. The self-efficacy construct is another confidence-building construct where the individual needs to truly believe that they have the tools necessary to facilitate and maintain change. They are no longer questioning themselves, but rather making bold statements like, I think I can do it. In program planning, it is best to allow the participants to map out their roadmap to change and help them understand that it is a process rather than a quick fix change. To build confidence, it is important to promote the participants to start small and grow into harder long-term goals. Every health behavior theory has strengths and limitations. The fact that the health belief model is simple to understand and can transition to different fields of profession and that it focuses on modifiable perceptions is a plus. On the other hand, the theory does take little account on how social and environmental factors can influence behavior, and this can cause one to oversimplify health behaviors. I thank you so much for listening to my lecture regarding the health belief model. I hope it was helpful in providing you with a greater understanding of the theory model. Please feel free to ask any questions.